everyone. Welcome back from The Bachelor to the Burbs. This is Jen Shaft-Waterman, and once again, I am here today with Brian Howie, my friend and producer, who helps get me through everything. So, we're back. Episode 3.
It's easier every time.
I don't
Training
know.
wheels are coming off.
Yeah, it's easier every time, but we were just talking before the podcast, and I pretty much have a panic attack before recording every show. So, happy to be actually recording and not panicking beforehand.
The first time you were on interviewed for anything in your life, do you remember
Yes.
that?
I don't remember once The Bachelor hit, it was like constant.
But before that, was there any times in college or high school where the local news crew came up to you and said, "Can we anything?" Had you ever?
No, I think I'd bet maybe like school things, but nothing that stands out, nothing that I can remember, nothing that was. Like in high school, I was a cheerleader, so there were games and things like that. But
right, so there were games, so you're in front of a crowd, but not on a microphone.
Not on a microphone, no, not a singer, not an actress, nothing like that. So,
because that's I always say that about the reality shows. Like, there's much different if you're going to try and be on American Idol. Let's just take American Idol. And you're maybe singing in a bar for a couple hundred people, and then you're on live television in front of millions. That leap is
huge. It's just, to even think about it, it's like makes me want to vomit a little bit.
But you must.
My palms are sweaty.
But did you do Good Morning America?
I did. Yes, I think Good Morning America was. Yeah, live. All of it is just so nerve wracking. And then I go in, I don't even remember it. Actually, it's always just like a blur. Like I go in, I do it, and I think I do a good job, and then it's like.
But are you nervous?
Oh yes,
First time I did TV, I was live TV, like it was morning news in New York, and I did it with my friend Lara Spencer, who eventually went on to be Good Morning America, and. She's interviewed thousands of people, even at that point in her career. This is probably 20 years ago. And I'm on there because I was talking about some show I was doing. And I couldn't believe that she was not sharing in the anxiety that I was sharing.
Right. Well, she does it every day.
She had somebody talking in her ear. That's like no problem at all. And I'm like, why aren't you feeling what I'm feeling?
How can you do this every single day?
Yeah.
Wake up every morning.
And that's probably why she went on to be a pretty big star.
Yeah.
She's so calm, and I was more anxious about what information am I not getting that I'm not calm.
Right. What does she know that I don't know?
Yeah, I know. And before the show, I'm in the green room. The green was where you wait to go on for.
Yes.
And
it's not really green.
And Siskel and Ebert, remember them?
Ooh, yes.
They're both deceased now.
Yes.
That's so sad.
I
Chicago.
They
were also going on, and there was a big tray of like donuts and bagels out, and I was worried, this is what an idiot I am, that Roger Ebert was going to get all the donuts and all the bagels, so I quickly ate a bunch of donuts and bagels, and then I'm out on the set doing my interview, and I'm like, I'm
so full.
I'm going to throw up my bagels and donuts because I had a problem with Roger Ebert with my food, and that's the whole time I'm thinking, like, went light. I'm like, am I going to get sick?
Because
awful.
Roger Ebert was going to steal from me, that guy.
He was probably fine.
He probably didn't need those donuts or bagels.
Yeah, so you didn't have any experiences like that where, like, I'm going to pass out or I'm nervous or I don't know what to say?
No, it happens. You're in the moment, and I, like, seriously, I just, like, I kind of go blank. I just do what I have to do, and then it's like, wait, it's over? Did I do it? Did I do okay? Yeah, I don't know. It's just really so weird.
Fast.
It goes so fast, and you wish that you could remember. All the great things you said.
But that's you don't remember the things you said.
I don't remember what I said. And so you're like, I hope I did okay. You watch it back sometimes and are just like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Or why did I say that? Why did I wear that? But whatever, you just get used to it. And I just stopped watching altogether. Because
then this should be no problem for you.
I know, but I want people to like the show. I want them to listen. I don't want to say something stupid, but.
Do you assume most people like you? Is your default like they're probably going to like me because I'm pretty nice and I'm not causing any problems?
Well, I just hope people like me. That's my goal. I want people to like me. I'm a people pleaser in that way. There's some people, like my husband just doesn't care. He'll say whatever.
It's such an advantage to not care.
I know.
Really
he's so lucky.
I don't know if it's an attribute or a skill. I don't know if it's something you can learn, but just been like, I care about me, my family, and like
right. And he's just like, I don't care what anybody says about us.
I know.
And then he'll be like, why do you care so much about what other people think?
I know.
And I'm so shallow.
I wish there was a course in that. Maybe there is.
No, I wish I could get there.
To not care.
Maybe someday. No, maybe someday I'll get there. I try. He helps me a little bit, but.
Because you kind of have to tell your kids, your daughter's like, if somebody says something to her, like, that's about them.
That's
don't
about
worry.
that. Right. Instead of like, it is hard
but Mom
too.
Cares.
Mom cares. Well, I just want to fit in. I just want to just slide right in with everybody.
Blend in.
Blend in.
Oh, you want to blend in.
I don't want to stand out. I don't want to be. I just want to like go with the flow.
But this must have been a change because you don't blend in and
Correct.
go on The Bachelor.
No, go on The Bachelor. You don't blend in. Like none of my life makes any sense. Doing this doesn't make any sense because I still do want to be the mom that goes into dance and just blends in with the other moms, and this is not helping that. So,
do you think you're introverted in any way?
I am introverted. I mean, I don't like to post on social media, which is kind of a problem now because I'm supposed to be posting
part of the gig
all the time. And I don't love everybody knowing every detail of my life, which again doesn't make sense when I'm doing this. But I don't know. I don't know.
Weird. It's
weird. It's just
I'm
weird.
hugely introverted. Like
you are.
Like before even COVID came along. Like if somebody was going to be in the elevator with me, I'm so scared of their saying like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I would take the stairs. My entire fitness was based on being introverted and taking the stairs instead of the elevator.
But then, how can you do something like this? Like
because I believe you're in control.
So you feel like you're in control of this more so than like other situations where people talk to you and ask you questions?
Even that. So now if I'm interviewed for something, I'm in control of the answer. Like I know what I want to answer. I always say I Sarah Palin it. Like whatever she got asked, she would just give the answer she wanted to.
Right. You learn that. You learn that in media training.
You learn how to steer it. But when I'm just stuck at a cocktail party and people be like, "Say, how do you know?" or a wedding, terrifying.
And you don't do talk? Do you? Or
it's
you just
kind
of like fall into the background?
I don't know how to get out of a conversation. I don't know how to smoothly be like, "Hey, I'm going to go to the bar. Anybody want something?"
Hey, I just couldn't go use the restroom.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I just crawl away, and they're like, "What happened to that guy?" I was in the middle of a sentence. It's an awful thing, and I
just wouldn't. I mean, knowing you, I wouldn't.
I almost
say that about
quit.
You.
I know we're going to talk about this in a second. I do this live touring show all over the world, the Great Love Debate. I almost stopped doing it because with 10 minutes left in the show, I'm like, how can I get out of here without anybody talking to me? And I just spent 90 minutes telling everybody to not be afraid and to talk to each other.
Right, and then as soon as it's over, you're just like out the door as fast.
I don't want to talk to anybody because then I'm like, I'm no longer in control of it.
I get that. That makes sense, though, because you don't want them to ask questions that you're not prepared for. And
I didn't realize that. Like, I had a shrink on my podcast, and we were just talking about things, and I'm like, he's like, I think you're probably an introvert. I could tell before we started how you were not wanting to engage with me or anybody you kind of hit out. And I go, what are you talking about? Because I thought that was like a weirdo thing.
Yeah.
And so he like diagnosed me on the spot. He's like, no, you're very uncomfortable in social situations. And I'm like, but I'm a performer.
But how can I be? How can I be uncomfortable?
He's like, and then he started naming people: David Letterman, Howard Stern, who, when the mic's off, they go in the basement.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But you can't be that way in life. You have to learn how to have certain
conversations with people.
Yeah.
Get away from a situation just gracefully.
Yeah. And those are things that, like,
they're hard
I would
for
have
you.
rather been taught that in high school than, say, calculus.
I think that's smart. But, I mean, they do try to teach those, like, feelings and things now, but it's like...
Now.
I know. Now, not when you were there.
But you don't even realize it, and you're just like, what causes angst? So, so you were thrown into sort of regular life, showbiz life without warm-up. You said you weren't in the theater. So you weren't always doing plays, and you went from a quiet, unknown,
nobody
outside of your little circle to millions of people. I can't even imagine what that's like.
It was totally, totally weird. And it was just, I mean, I did the show because a friend signed me up. And like every step of the way, like
every single Bachelorette says that.
I know they say that, but it was really early on and I didn't know how to try out for the show. I mean, I think there were casting calls and things like that back then. But so then once I got on it, it's like, no one's going to watch this. No one's going to know me. No one's going to see me. I didn't think I'd be the girl who was chosen. So it was just like, it'll just be fun. And even when I was filming the show, like during the show, they're called ITMs. They're called in the moments where it looks like you're just sitting there talking to the camera, but there's someone like a producer.
Kind of thing?
The confessionals, the confessionals in the moments. And like they never interviewed me at first. They never, like at the beginning of the show, we were filming and it's like 15 girls. And of like all of them, they never interviewed me. I think they thought I was so boring. I didn't think anything was dramatic. They'd be like, so-and-so gave Andrew her watch. What do you think? Or Andrew gave her a watch. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think that's that big of a deal. And they're just like, you're so boring. We don't need to have you on TV.
When do they tell you you're on the show? How do they tell you you're down to like the last 5? And then there's a pool of 50. Do they?
No. So what we did, so they had, like, you knew you were kind of coming down to you were one of the finalists because they brought us out to LA for like 2 days. We're like holed up in a hotel that we can't leave the room. This is before, like, I didn't have a laptop. This is before anybody had cell phones. So I'm just sitting in this hotel room for 2 days being like, this is crazy. I'm not going to do this show. But they come in, they do drug testing, they do psychological testing, they do all these, like you have to fill out all these forms. They videotape you talking to everybody. And then eventually it's like, I was like, they hate me. This is so like every question that I was answering, they were like, what?
How much did you want to do it at that point?
By then I was like, I'm not doing this. This is weird. I mean, I
got less likely to do it?
I got less likely to do it because
or less interested the far closer you got?
I think not less interested, but more just like, there's no way they're going to ask me to be on the show. So I'm not going to get excited about it. And I felt like by that last step, that last sort of tryout, what's the
the audition,
that's the word. I was like, they're not interested, they don't like me, that's it, I'm just gonna go home and never hear from them again. And then like within like a week or two, it's like, well, we're asking you to be on the show. And you're, what? I really truly didn't think it was.
Is it a phone call?
It was a phone call. Yeah, I was in the airport going from Chicago to Cleveland. I was coming home for like Thanksgiving. No, I was coming home for Christmas, I think. So I get this call, and what?
I'm curious how many people get that far, get the call, and then say
no.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd let it go that far just to say no.
People get to the altar and say no.
Well, that's true. That is true.
Or you really think, what's in my life? Or you think like,
right, like what? I mean, I do remember saying to my parents, like, life is going to change if I do this. Are we okay with is my family okay with me doing this? And
how big a part of the audition is what's your family like, and can we film them and all this?
They didn't really even ask anything about that. No.
They might now.
They might now. I mean, it was so new. I felt like back then versus now, everything was a free-for-all back then. Now everything is just a very well-oiled machine, and they like know what could happen.
Now, you were probably pretty comfortable that you were pretty enough. You were probably pretty comfortable that you were likable and had a good enough personality enough. How comfortable were you with your dating game?
Oh, I was pretty comfortable with my dating game.
Because that's a part of it.
Well, and I kind of felt like, I'm going to go on the show. I'm not going to like the guy. He's not going to like me. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to have fun. That was truly my thoughts. I did not think that I was going to be the girl chosen or want to be the girl chosen. Because that was the thing, too, with my friends. It's like I was so picky. I was never going to meet anyone because nobody was.
But the things that you as the show goes on, the things that you would normally do when you were on a date or you first like a guy, you have some bows in your quiver. Is that the thing? You have some moves. You have some things that you say and you laugh.
Yeah, but yes.
Is it completely different or is it?
No, it's the same. I mean, I'm kind of more the girl though that like would let the guy make the first move. I don't want to be the one like, hey, look at me over here. So it was, I mean, I wasn't the girl going up to Andrew and like, I just want you to know I'm serious and I really care about you and I like you. And I was just like, I'm just going to sit here and let him talk to me.
Because that's not the way you were.
That's not the way how I would be in real life.
Yeah.
And even on that show, it's like immediately you're talking like, do you want kids? Do you want to get married? How many kids do you want? And you're like, this is the first date. Like that would never happen on a normal first date. So you also feel very uncomfortable being
How aware are you that the process has to be fast forwarded though? That you're like, I don't know how long.
Well, you're supposed to be aware of that. So, and I was.
How long is your time together?
We filmed for 6 weeks. And I mean, maybe I saw him 6 days total, maybe.
But the longest period of time where they're filming you on a date, is it an hour? Is it 6
hours? Once you get like a one-on-one date, it was a long day. I mean, probably 6 hours that first time.
Which is longer than a normal date.
Longer than a normal date, but you're also taking a limo somewhere, or you're flying in a plane together in a helicopter, getting to, it's just, you're all just in these weird situations that you wouldn't be in with anybody to begin with.
Right.
Normally. So
I would constantly be trying to be like, so this would be like where I would be in my third date if I was getting
right.
And like,
right.
yeah, that's probably, there's a lot of moving parts to it that I think people don't figure out.
Right. And then it's just like, then you start dating this person, like in real life. Like I got a question from a fan. I hate saying that word.
Why?
But our fans. That just seems so
a friend of the show.
A friend of the show. A friend of the show. What was the question now? Okay, here. It was like, what was your time like with Andrew when you moved in together? How quickly did you realize this wasn't it? So that's the thing. It's like,
that's a good question.
It's a very good question.
How long after he proposed, right?
He proposes. You're dating on the show for the 6 weeks, and then he finally proposes, and I'm like, we're together. But then you get a little rendezvous date. They set us up in this like hotel for like a weekend, and that's so great. And then I had to go back to my regular life and pretend that none of this even happened. Mm-hmm. So that was totally weird. But so we never got to date like in a normal manner, though. It was not like, here, I'm going to call you up and see if you want to go on a date. Like by the time we like ended the show, we were engaged.
And what's the gap before you can see each other again?
It was like the show probably started like 2-3 months.
So he engaged, you walk off the set, and it's like, call me, see
you. When am I going to see you? So you're like, oh my God, I just got engaged, but I don't even know when I'm going to talk to this person again. So, those
were there I love yous?
There were I love yous, okay. Yeah. Which still seems weird though after 6 weeks, but it's just it was already said on the show.
Yeah,
and,
I know.
It's weird. I still think it's a weird show. It's a weird concept, but it can work, I guess. But
then you're like, you're moving in together when you walk off the set, like
no. Well, then so he proposes. Mm-hmm. Then it's like, I just wanted you to, Then the show's done filming. We go off to this like fun after party.
Yeah, and
you just got engaged to somebody that 3 hours ago you didn't know if you were going to be sent home,
right?
Like, or you were going to be super happy,
right?
So it was like, I just proposed. He said to me, like, I proposed, like, I wanted you to know I was serious and that, I want to try to make this work, not just.
Yeah, this wasn't just for the camera.
Just for the camera. So there was that. I knew that. And we talked, but it's just, I still was like so unsure.
Had you had because you lived in Chicago.
I lived in Chicago.
Had you had that?
It was pretty much like, I'm going to move with him. Give up all my whole life, go move with him and fit myself into his life, which is what I did. And it's like, I couldn't even tell my friends that I was moving because nobody's supposed to know that.
Why are you moving?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, they knew that I was like on the show, but that if I'm moving, that means he must have picked you if you're like, so I can't prepare friends. My parents knew because I wasn't supposed to tell them, but of course I did.
But you had a job.
I had a job. They were like, don't tell your job you're quitting. And then it's like, I've worked here for 5 years. Like,
you have to be like, I'm quitting. Are you paying for me now? Like, do I have to get a job? Like, those are
right. Well, it was like, okay, you're going to move to San Francisco to be with me. I will help you financially until we figure things out. And if we break up, then, I'll help you get back on your feet, back in Chicago or wherever you choose.
Yeah, you don't back then, you weren't instantly getting millions of dollars to put Instagram posts.
Correct. No. None of that was happening. I wasn't like, money wasn't like coming my way. I still needed a job.
A skin cream. You get
right. And then everybody thinks like, well, you're with a Firestone, so everything's perfect.
Married yet?
But we're not married yet. I actually moved to San Francisco with him. And I moved in with him and his roommate. So, so we 3 of us lived together. So everyone acts like, oh, I got engaged. And this is the other thing. I got engaged to this multimillionaire and I was the Cinderella princess, which I kind of always hated because it wasn't like I was some like lowly, like surf somewhere and Andrew just plucked me out of nowhere. Like I had a good life.
Like, I was doing fine.
I had a job that I loved. I was living in Chicago as I was in my mid-20s. I had a ton of friends. So when I had to pick up and move everything to San Francisco, I was so excited, but it was much, much harder for me then.
Yeah. You're like, I had options.
I'm like, I had a life. So that was very hard for me. I didn't realize how hard it would be, but it was very hard for me to pick up and move. And then anyway, I move. We're together for 6 months, and it was just a good but rough couple 6 months.
And you were how old then?
26, almost 27. It was like 26, 27 around
Were
then.
you ready to get off the ride? The dating?
I thought that I was.
I was.
Yeah.
You were mentally.
I was
don't
mentally.
need 3 more years in
no,
Chicago.
I know. Well, I needed 3 more years in Chicago just because I loved it and it was
Right,
fun
that's
and
a
I
tough
had a
ride to
great
get off.
time. Yeah. So it was hard to leave all that. And then we were just like getting married. We were engaged, and you're just like, we're still kind of a new couple.
Yeah.
We're not really engaged. We're not planning a wedding, but then you're doing interviews and talking about your love and when are you going to get married? And it just all felt like.
What was your first date with no cameras? Did you just like, hey, you want to go get some lunch?
Well, the thing that they have like a party,
Yeah.
like a finale party. So like Andrew and I walk in together,
Yeah, but
and
that's still not
So,
just
but-
the two of you in California.
yeah, I mean, it would just be like, okay, we're going to go have dinner, but then we would get bombarded with people. Like people, you
'Cause
can't
the,
even
the
like
things you learn
eat.
in a growing relationship is you learn little things like here's where they like to sit in the movie theater.
Right.
And here's all the things that you get in dating. None of that happens on the show because they're not terribly interesting for television purposes.
Correct. Like you don't go sit in a movie
Yeah.
with a guy.
Right.
That's not a so you're not doing
Which
anything.
side of the bed do you like?
Right.
You know, all those kind of things.
And they don't want you to talk about like normal, boring, everyday things
Right.
either. So like the little things about the person,
The little
you
things
just
are
have
what
no
make-
idea.
right, and that's what makes really the relationship
Right.
is built up on a million
million little things,
People
and we
make these
didn't-
checklists of 7 things that I want, and they're really made up of the things that you don't even think about.
Right.
Yeah.
Just those little things, like how does he not pick up his socks?
Yeah,
or
right. All
do
that-
this like
all
weird
that stuff.
thing at the kitchen. You know,
What's your normal bedtime?
Right.
All of these things.
Right.
You don't get that in that kind of environment, and so you really have to learn the person.
you learn the person after the show is over.
Yeah.
And that didn't go that well for us. I mean, it didn't. We got a lot. It was like either really good or really bad. But what's funny is that it was 18 years ago, and so many people have so many questions. And this is like a person that I was only with really total for like in public for 6 months of my life. So it's not this huge relationship that I feel like everyone else might think that it is or that it was.
If you had to make a list of your like top 5, like.
Qualities.
No, relationships in your life. Does he make it?
He makes it only because of the situation that we were in.
Okay.
You know, because it's like
So he still would get a chapter.
he would still get a chapter in the book. Yeah, huge chapter. Yes. But is it our relationship or is it just it
The
fits into the
circumstances.
circumstances of the show?
It is interesting though. Like he'll never forget you. You'll never
Never.
forget
No,
him.
and he'll never be written about in a magazine without my name attached to it or
Right.
vice versa.
Yeah, you guys.
Like we're always going to be
it will
connected
be
in that way.
In the obit.
Yes. His name, my name, like, you know, we're always connected in that way. So, in the
Yeah.
obit, you might remember her now that she's laying there dead.
Right. I mean, but that is a thing. It's like it will be in your obit's probably the wrong. It'll be in your bio.
My bio forever. It's
Yeah.
in the bio for the show. It's like I'm nothing without that relationship.
No, you're not
truly.
nothing. That's
Not-
half
not-
of it.
Right.
And the
right.
other half is who you are now, which is also very interesting.
The burbs part.
Yeah, the burbs.
They're burbs part of me. Yes.
The burbs part of you. So the other day, I'm gonna bring this up because I have questions about it. I asked you to be a part of. I pulled you once again out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
As I think we mentioned on the show, I host a show called The Great Love Debate. It's a podcast, but it's also a live touring show. And because of the circumstances of 2020, some of these shows have been moved into virtual form. And it's basically a live, interactive debate about love, dating, and relationships. And we generally have some personalities and celebrities who are sort of the Greek chorus of this thing, commenting on questions that people have about dating. And we have had quite a lot of your kind on the show. We have had Ben Higgins, and we've had Nick
My
Viall
kind.
and the drunk bachelor. What was his name?
Nick?
No, the drunk. No, not the other drunk one. The guy from the farmer.
Oh, Chris
Souls and Caitlin Bristow and Emily Maynard, and we've had a
know 'em
lot
all.
of people do it, and so I'm like, I want you to do this. And you said, I haven't dated in a long, long time, whatever. And I go, it doesn't matter because I think that everybody has opinions about other
Yes.
people's relationships and what they're doing wrong and whatever. It was a fairly calm bunch of people. It wasn't too out there, except one woman wanted to know, I'm married and I want to know how to date
she was in an open relationship,
and she wanted to know like how she should handle that. She wanted somebody who could handle her situation.
Right. Somebody to handle the situation that it's hard for her to meet guys that understand that she has a husband.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh,
and
this
she
is
was
way more exciting.
Calm about it. She was like, I just want to know like when I should bring that up.
Like,
that
maybe like at the first date, like the minute that you sit down, by the way.
Yeah. And
I don't know. Or just maybe, I don't get getting married to then have an open relationship. Why would you get married? Why wouldn't you
that's
just?
What I said. I'm like, if you have two, it's because you don't have one.
Right?
I mean, that's what I think. And a lot of the people who do that.
And I don't want to offend any listeners that might be in an open marriage.
But a lot of people say, well, we're not designed to be that, but the trust that we have in our relationship, it makes it actually stronger. That's not for me. It's probably not for you.
No.
But you do hear that a lot.
You do hear that.
I do.
On your show.
It comes up. It doesn't come up in Hudson, Ohio.
It does not come up in this.
All of the carousing happens at the far end of the cul-de-sac here. But
secret.
Fairly, people bring up the and a lot of the reason is they're not happy in traditional relationships,
right?
Or it's not working out. So let me try this. Let me go for alternative things that might make me happy, whether it's 2 or 3 or open or poly or whatever they want to call it. And it was just surprising she threw it in there. Like there were other questions, like asking people out and
right, like that was just one of.
And she's like, "Well, what about this?"
Okay, then I don't know. I really don't know how to answer any of your questions.
I'm like, probably you should ask your husband.
You should ask,
how he's comfortable with you approaching that.
Yeah. That was a little bit. Out of my way, like I don't understand that.
But it was fun and it was funny and you were good and I got good feedback on it.
Oh, really? Because I felt like I did terrible. No. I had no answer to any question.
People were like, she sounds very reasonable. She sounds like
that's what I like to think of myself. I'm very reasonable.
Yeah, because people who are married,
like, no, you're
married
not.
for a long time, sometimes they take themselves out of the dating world, and every once in a while they'll wonder, how would I do? Or let me swipe on somebody else.
Well, I was on the Great Love Debate, and I would do a terrible job in this environment. Oh my God, I am so. After being on the Great Love Debate, I am so happy I'm married. I will never get a divorce. I will work on it.
That's funny
for the rest of my life.
We did a show in New York last year, a Great Love Debate show, and there were cameras there because Bravo was shooting it for an episode of Summer House. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think.
So it was a little chaotic. And 2 of my friends from college came, these 2 women who I went to college with, who I had not seen since college. So it was like 20 years later.
Okay.
They're both married and both have been married for a long, long time. And at the end of the show, one of them said exactly what you said. She goes, "Oh my God, I'm so grateful I'm married. I would be terrible out there."
100%.
And the other one said, "I would absolutely kill it today. This dating environment suits my skill set." She's like, "I was ahead of my time." She's like, "I would love the online dating," because you weren't even in that. There was like a little bit of Match in your
there was Match was starting, but you didn't want to ever admit that you went online, and I could not be the girl from The Bachelorette that couldn't find love on TV.
Yeah, I know.
And then go on Match but now you could. Now if I would have come off of there and go on Tinder or whatever,
you have to.
It'd be fine, but not then.
It's a different planet now for divorced people. If you've been married for like 10 years,
yes, and I
go out now.
I cannot imagine. And I'm sorry for anyone that has to go through that again. I mean, dating was so horrible for me to begin with, and I was single for a long time.
Because I could tell you thinking during it, we do this thing where we read somebody's Tinder or Bumble profile out loud, and I could see your face going, "I would never do this. I would hate to have to do this."
Nope.
A little bio about myself that's supposed to be charming and funny.
You're making me vomit. I want to vomit right
and you're like, that seems terrifying. And I have to choose photos.
Well, and it's all about the photos anyway. Just don't make an idiot out of yourself with what you write. Just don't make a fool of yourself.
Don't lose on the writing.
Don't lose on the writing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to lose or win on the, based on the picture.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it by writing something totally stupid.
So it didn't seem like a more fun environment.
It did not make me want to oh my God.
This seems amazing.
This is amazing. I wish I was back in that scene. No.
Well, because people always say "Oh my God, we're in this sort of swipe culture where you basically go swipe 50 times until you see somebody you like." And my answer to that is, we used to walk around the bar 50 times.
Yeah, I mean that's no different. It's the same thing. It's just a different way of.
We did a lot of laps.
or nobody's here. Like in Chicago, you just hop in a cab and get to the next bar. You do the lap. You're like, no one's good here. I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
We got to find someplace else.
The lap was the swipe.
The lap was the swipe. Absolutely. So it's still the same,
You're like, maybe I would do okay. I had those skills.
I did have those skills. No, I didn't. No, I did. Whatever. I don't know. I just am so glad I'm just no longer there.
Because people are going to start sending you, if they have not already, dating relationship questions. It's the natural
that's
thing.
the natural. I mean, I still get dating relationship questions.
Yeah.
Like, because I was on a relationship show, a show about relationships.
The Bachelor. So you were in
I got the final rose. My cousin texted me being like, you didn't win. You got the final rose.
Oh,
and that is true.
That's the
he
terminology?
Is correct.
But
yes.
you went into the hardest environment and you came out of it. So people think she has some game.
Total game.
I'm
a baller.
She has a skill set.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't, though. I didn't go. I guess my plan going into the whole Bachelor thing was like, just don't make a fool out of yourself. Just be normal. Don't make a fool out of yourself. Don't say anything that you wouldn't say normally, just to.
Most of dating is don't make a fool out of yourself.
Most of dating.
And it's amazing
you
how
have
often we make fools out of ourselves. Yeah.
And my friend Michelle, we would always call it like the dating Jen or the dating Michelle versus like the real Jen. Like, you're always on, I will go out to watch
What is dating Jen? How's she different?
Yes, I'll meet you out at a bar at 10 o'clock at night to watch the Cubs game. I love sports that much. No, normal. No, I'm so tired. I'm going to go to bed by 8. You can go watch the game. But when you're dating, you pretend that that's interesting and fun for you because you just want to see the person.
Right. That's true. But a guy would never be like, oh, sure, I'll come over and watch Real Housewives.
But you don't think the guys just are like, no, I'm not in. But the girl, you just want to like impress the guy. And
the
him
girls
to think you're
believe
cool.
that if the guy thinks she likes sports too, that he won't have to give up his sports. He doesn't really care if she likes the sports.
He just wants to know that you're cool about it.
Yeah,
cool with
like,
it.
This is where I'm going to be spending my time, and you will come. Yeah. I think that's reasonable. So you
just put more effort into things that maybe you're like not into. I'll go on a camping trip if. I like you at first, but then pretty shortly after we were like really comfortable, I'm not going to go camping with you.
Did you ever date a musician?
No.
Because that's the problem with the musician. You're secretly not hoping they make it. Because if they make it big, you're
gone.
They're gone. Right. So you're sitting through a lot of terrible gigs as the girlfriend. Like, and there were like
honey,
4 people in some beer bar. And then you're like, why am I putting in this terrible time as soon as they make it big?
Because as soon as he makes it big, he's going to just like drop
and if they don't make it big, I'm going to dump him. So it's no man's
land. So I learned shortly after The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, like I didn't want to date anyone that wanted to be famous. Because that was just a whole other set of things that mattered to them that I just didn't want to worry about.
How did you meet your husband?
On a blind date.
By somebody you still talk to?
No, I went on a date with another. So this was the thing. I wasn't going to do Match.com, but I was going to say yes to anybody that was going to set me up on a date because I'd been to the bars. I met everybody through my friends, through work. It was like, okay, so if people want to find somebody that they think they want to set me up with, I will say yes. So one of my best friend's father-in-law set me up with this 24-year-old. I was 31 at the time. And I didn't want to go because I knew it was not going to, he was 24. I'm 31. No, it's just, but I have to go on this date because I said I would. And it's my father-in-law or my friend's father-in-law. So I'm going to do it. Wasn't the best date because he was 24 and I was 31. But then, he never called back. But then a month later he called, left me a voicemail saying he had this great fella he wanted to set me up with because he was from North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, this is mortifying. But then, of course, you talk to your friends and they're like, you got to do it. Say yes. And it was my husband is who he wanted to set me up with.
And how did they know each other?
Like, if you ask my husband, it is not it's like, I don't know.
Oh,
so
he's like, friends of friends. I know a guy more age appropriate.
I think it was like, I only know one guy over 30.
Guy. Yeah.
So it's my boss's like girl over here that I need to I can't dump her. That would be
a good show, like Young Guy Fix Up.
Yeah, and then my mom would always be like, just go on the date. You never know who they're going to set you up with or who you would meet. I'm like, what guy I would ever go out with would hook me up with like another, and then that happens. Like,
and when does he find out you were the Bachelorette? Like
I think
5 seconds in?
Yeah, well, I think that he knew I was the Bachelorette before going out on the date.
Oh, so he got the, hey, you should go out with her? She was the Bachelorette?
Yes.
Well, good, because then there's a
so then there's like
floor on how hot you are, because it's like, oh, she must be good looking. That's a pretty good reference.
And then back then he could Google
it's
and
like,
see
she
it.
was Miss Ohio, then you're probably
Then
going to
you're
be
like, okay, I'll try it.
Yeah.
I'll try it out.
See, that is good to have on the date. You would put that on your
I would put that on my dating reel. My dating, my Twitter.
Oh, by the way,
no, my
I
Tinder.
was the Bachelorette. Your Tinder, your Bumble. You're not your Twitter.
My
you
Twitter.
Can date on Twitter.
I said Twitter, but I meant Tinder.
Yeah, on your Tinder, you could. Well, that's good. And your first date was what?
Sushi.
Dinner?
He took me to a sushi restaurant and then like a little dive bar.
See, that's a perfect date. If you're going to go out to dinner, and you heard me recommend the other night,
yes,
don't go out to dinner. But if you are going to go out to dinner,
yes,
sushi's the best because sushi requires communication.
Right, and we had the sake, and you felt like he had to pour my sake. I mean, it's so crazy.
You're eating with your hands a lot. There's hands. It's different. There's usually some edamame.
Yes.
Which is a sharing thing. Sushi's the thing if you're going to go out.
Okay, so he did a good job with that.
Sushi or fondue. There's not enough fondue.
Not enough fondue.
You're sharing in there, too. So things that... Hibachi is a good date thing because it's kind of a show going on.
All things I don't need to know anymore because thankfully...
You don't need to know that. Because some
don't have
people
to go
are
on
like,
first
you're
dates.
sitting there with 2 menus and it's terrifying. And you don't know anything about this. You don't know... And especially like if you're a guy in Los Angeles with dietary restrictions and she goes... It's okay, I'll find something. And you just feel like an idiot for picking the wrong
Oh,
restaurant.
God.
But see now
so
you're like,
pressure.
you're renewing your vows. Basically.
Talking about
Yeah, you might as well. This is
let's
sort
renew
of the
the
same
vow.
thing.
We're like reminiscing.
You're like, honey, I love you. Do not make me go back out there. It's
Please,
terrible.
honey, like whatever happens from now on, we're going to make it work.
Yeah, no, that was good. We got good feedback on you.
Well, that's good to hear.
Because you sounded non-judgmental and reasonable.
Okay, I felt like I said 3 words.
No,
the
you
whole
didn't.
time.
I know it's a blur.
Yes, everything's a
Go
blur.
back and watch the tape. No, you didn't say more 3 words. You gave good stuff,
okay,
and
thanks.
it was good. I was happy to have you.
Well, it was like they're asking all these questions, and it's like, what do you look for in a guy? I'm like, I don't remember.
Yeah, I know.
don't remember what
You're
the
like, what do I
criteria
look like?
was.
And what I think I look like isn't what I ended up with. So I don't know. People don't know.
People don't know.
They're like, when after you're in Chicago after The Bachelor, did you get every matchmaker trying to hook you up, all the professional?
Oh yeah,
aspects?
like it's just lunch.
They're all there.
Oh yes, yeah, they're all in Chicago. Like all of these.
Barbie Adler, all the famous ones.
It's just lunch. Yes.
Yeah, they're all in Chicago, and they're all like, I have a guy for you.
I have a guy for you.
Or I have a girl for you, or whatever. And it's just, it's a feeding frenzy.
It's a thing. It's a big thing there. So
it's a big thing. Well, you did really, really good, and you're doing really good with this.
Thank you, and I'm so appreciative.
And you got
of
questions coming in.
I've got questions coming in. People with having questions. I'm getting texts, mostly from family, telling me what they'd like to hear more of. But no, it's
what do
been
they
so
want to hear
fun.
more of?
I get a lot of requests for or my brother's friends want to hear lots more about my brother. I mean, he's a character. We'll get him on here eventually. He's coming. I know we're not supposed to say the date of anything, but it's coming. It's Thanksgiving time, so he'll be back in town for that, and we're getting him. We'll get him on here.
Do you
someday.
cook Thanksgiving?
No.
You've never done the whole thing?
I mean, I cook. So my husband is the cook. He's made the turkey before. But I'll do the sides and the mashed potatoes and the stuffing. But he does the hard part. But this year we're not doing any of that.
Is there a turkey?
No turkey this year either. My brother's the only one coming over. My parents aren't coming over. And so we're like, let's just make something we want to eat.
See, turkey is overrated.
It is and it takes so long to make, and then you're done eating in 10 minutes, and then you're cleaning for the rest of the day.
If you were on a date with a guy and he looked at the menu and he's like, do you have turkey? You'd think he's weird.
I would think, well, who ordered? I mean, yeah, unless it's the holidays.
Right. If it's not a holiday,
You're like,
somebody ordered
why
turkey.
would you get the turkey dinner?
Right. Yet we oh my
like,
God.
oh my God, the turkey. I got to get up at 4 a.m.
Right. And I want the sandwiches. I'm like, no, you want the mayonnaise.
I want the stuffing and the mashed potatoes. And, But other than that, like the turkey is the most time consuming and it's the least popular.
You have to go through it once, though. You have to do it, I think, as a mall.
Well, last year we got like a pre-cooked one. I heated that one.
Have you ever had the weird stuff like the turducken? Have you ever had anything like
I've
that?
had turducken. Well, that was a big thing when I was single. Like the single people would get together for like turducken before we would all go home for the holidays. But not us, not me personally.
The frying. You ever seen the thing?
The deep fryer? Yeah. My
hook.
husband wanted to try that one year, but we didn't get around.
Burns
He
a lot of
like
houses
wants
down.
to, like he'll do the smoker or the, he makes
Oh.
it a fancy way or brine it or something where I don't know what that means.
You
but-
know that the night before Thanksgiving is the biggest night out of the year.
Yes,
You remember
I
that from the
remember
bar
that
business?
from
You
when
do.
I was single.
Yeah. It's a big night.
It's
in
a bit,
the home- people
everyone's
go to the
coming,
hometowns,
go in their
and you gotta get out.
hometowns. You got to see the
Which
old
means
friends.
a lot of people muddle through Thanksgiving hungover that you wouldn't think about.
I would think about it because I was one of those people. I used to be, and it's like, why would I do this to myself?
Exactly.
This is that's a terrible night to go out because I feel terrible the rest of the weekend.
For the rest of us, like, oh my god, my aunt and uncle are here, and I forgot how
I have to
terrible
be
they were.
nice.
You have to be nice. Yeah.
And all I want to do is like lay down,
Yeah.
watch TV, and not talk to anybody.
See, there's the introvert.
There it is. Yeah, I would rather just be home alone.
All right, this was good.
This was good. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Remember, from The Bachelor to the Burbs, you can follow me there on Facebook, and my Instagram is at Chef Waterman, SCHEFFT. That's a hard one to spell.
Yeah.
But that is it for today. Thank you for
And email. You
joining
can
us.
stuff.
Email at bachelorburbs@gmail.com.
And most importantly, I'm going to say this till you get it right because you're going to have to remember: like, share, subscribe, and always review the podcast. The reviews mean a lot in
Yes,
the
please.
in the podcasting ecosystem. Even if you take 2 seconds and click 5 stars, you're getting free stuff from Jen here.
Yes.
So click 5 stars.
Subscribe. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.